Greetings, TMOT, back again for another drive time. House cleaning, if you can like it, you can share it. Never take the light of truth and place it under a basket. Let it shine bright for all to see. So, I know I haven't been here in a while. A few people asked me if I would come and give my perspective, so that is what I am going to do. Again, you all know that I am in a Senate race for the state of Georgia. Feel free to visit the website, GraysonforGeorgia.com, and give us your support. Also, you can support me right here in this video if you like. Anything and any amount is appreciated. So, I want to just kind of lay the groundwork with some basic stuff so that you understand where I'm coming from and where we're headed and things that I have been posting on my Facebook wall, because I haven't been doing much on YouTube. Somehow or another, my Facebook and Twitter got disconnected. They show connected, but when I post on Facebook, they're still not going over to Twitter. Don't know what that's all about. I have been unable to resolve it. Maybe I'll put a little more time into trying to figure that out today. All right, so let's do this. All right, so there are some things in life that are constant, never changes. 2 + 2 is 4. 9 times 5 is 45. But of course, we know in the new math, and something I'll explain later, some people think that they get credit if they were to just say, 5 times 9 is at least 40. I got that right, so pass me. But, that don't work in the real world. Some things are precise, and, we need to stick with that because we know what works. We know what's accurate, et cetera, et cetera. There are other things that we know are constant that we can count on. Pi, 3.142. Of course, I round it up, but after the decimal, it's infinite. The speed of light, constant. I think 186,000 miles per second. So those things we know we can count on. There was once a time, however, when we had situations where we thought we had no control over, but where there's a will, there is a way. Once upon a time, we didn't have a cure for syphilis. You got syphilis, it was a wrap. You go crazy and you're out of here. Or gonorrhea. But you know what? We found cures for those. Oh, guess what? Some involved vaccines. That's right. We wiped out polio and chickenpox with a vaccine, but everybody hates on the vaccine. Now, I'm not trying to sell a single soul on a vaccine for corona if they happen to come up with one. But somebody sent me a video where this guy was talking about all of this is the result of 5G. And you know what? There are people out there smart enough, and I'm going to use a few expletives in my video to make a point. There are people out there smart enough, so language alert, smart enough to know how to take a little bit of truth and sprinkle it in a whole bunch of bullshit, and people accept that as fact. If 5G was causing radiation and that was the result of corona, which is what the claim in the video is all about, some guy who used to work for Novotel or something like that. I mean, I listened to that, man. I was just in disbelief, but people are jumping on that bandwagon. The body does not produce pathogens, and those are external organisms that get into our body and attack our cells, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Our body produces antibodies and antigens to fight off those infections, viruses, bacteria, et cetera, et cetera. But the body, in certain rare cases, for the most part, the body produces those things to protect the body. That is in all of God's awesomeness. So I said, because the guy mentioned that there's a vaccine, if they come out with it, that's going to be to get everybody in control. Ain't no damn vaccine can cure radiation poisoning. You get radiation poisonous, you're done. All right, but anyway, I digress. My point is, vaccines have worked in the past, but that is not an endorsement that you should go run out and take a vaccine. And also, that does not mean you should jump on each and every bandwagon that you hear, which brings me back to Corona. Man, there are a lot of things that just don't add up. Now, a lot of you don't get that. A lot of you can't see that. But some folk are going all out to defend some of these draconian measures. Thank you very much, Mr. Glass. I appreciate that offering. Going all off the beaten path to support the things that these politicians are doing, i.e. destroying our economy. Hank Sullivan, I'm going to point you to him if you really want to understand what's going on with connecting the dots, Corona and our economy, the president, et cetera, et cetera. Give him a look. I mean, the man has got all kind of a wealth of information on his wall that you should go and check out. I put little bits and pieces out there, breadcrumbs for people, but my breadcrumbs are for folk that have been paying attention to things over a long period of time and see how all of this is working out and is unfolding. All right. So that's kind of what I do. You know, so to follow me, you have to have been paying attention. So now I've already laid the groundwork and said some things are constant. If you continue to do it, that's the very definition of conservatism. What works, you keep on doing it. And there are some things that are never changing. All right. God is never changing. All right. So and then there are things that we don't have the answers to, but we get the answers to them. So now when we deal with this Corona, everybody has been talking about, I've seen people putting out there the death rate is 20%. I think what they're doing is taking the number of people that recovered and calculating the percentage, the death rate based on the number of those that died. Maybe that's where they're getting the 20% from. I didn't try to do the math, but it's ignorant as hell. And then when I try to show people the right way, they tell me that I've lost my mind. And I'm like, damn, did math, I've been out of grade school for 40 years, but did math change? No. Pi is still an irrational number. 2 plus 2 is still 4. There are some things in mathematics that just will not change. And so if you really, I provided a link to where you can go and see a running total of what's being reported in terms of total cases, those that went into the hospital, and I assume that's where they are getting the recovered from, those that were hospitalized and recovered from being in a grave situation, and those who perished. So if you want to know the true death rate, you look at those who contracted the virus, because if you got it, you got sick, whether you showed symptoms or not. If you got it, you got sick with the virus. The body was infected. Now you take the total number of those that contracted it, okay, and you divide it into the number of those that died. That gives you your death rate, and that's under, well, you know what, using the numbers that they have, which is a little bit higher, the last count, it was 2.6%. So if you were to take into account all the people that have gotten it and aren't going to the doctor, they say 70% are asymptomatic, 20% have mild symptoms. They may think they have a cold, but they don't go and get a test. So you can't count them in the calculation because we don't know who they are. And that 2.6% that I came up with, the number of people tested positive, that number would go down if they were brought into that 2.6% number. But, you know, people are telling me I'm an idiot. Come on my wall to tell me I'm an idiot. Well, why don't you post the facts on your wall? Why don't you post the fact that 20% of the people that get it die? Put that on your wall instead and see what you get. Ain't nobody over there paying your but no attention. You know what? My mother told me a story about Miss Gertrude. They all had real bad colds. Could have been the flu. I don't know. But my mom was a young girl, 7, 8 years old. And she said that Miss Gertrude came around the house. Now, my mom grew up in the country, you know, where Negroes pick cotton. She said Miss Gertrude came around the house and said, get you some water, boil it, go out there in the yard. Here comes language alert. Pick up some of that chicken shit, wrap it up in a cloth, put it in that boiling water and start to boiling it. Make them some bird shit tea and then put it in some glass, add a little sugar or honey to it so that it don't taste so bad, and that'll knock that flu right on out. My grandmother, okay, God rest her soul, love her to death, just didn't know any better. But my father knew enough to know that that was not the way you do things. They have medicines, real medicines that you can use to treat the cold or the flu or whatever the case may be. But you don't go out there in the yard and gather up no bird shit, wrap it in a cloth, put it in some water, boil it, and serve it to your children. It's bird shit tea. My grandfather told my mom, woman, you don't go around here listening to no crazy Gertrude giving these kids no bird shit tea because she's batshit crazy. That is a true story that my mother told me, God rest her soul. I lost her 2 years ago. Loved her to death. Boy, if I could have taken her place, I would have. Anyway, moving on. So there is just some things that aren't right about this corona. I don't care what you say, don't care how you do it. It don't all add up, and it ain't got a damn thing to do with 5G. Let me just throw that in there one more time. Now, these draconian measures, curfews, you know, Ben Franklin said, those who desire a little bit of freedom, a little bit of security, and will give up a little bit of freedom, don't deserve either one of them and will soon lose both. I think I quoted it the right way, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. There are people going along with these curfews, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So let me ask you all some questions, and you ask yourself, are you smart enough to wear gloves? Are you smart enough to wash your hands often? Are you smart enough to put on a face covering, N95 mask, whatever is effective? Are you smart enough to keep your distance? Are you smart enough, if you are that fearful, to keep your ass at home so that you are not exposed to it? Because somebody said to me, well, you don't have the right to put me at risk. Keep your ass at home then. Then you won't see me. See, I'm smart enough to cover myself. I'm smart enough to tell you to step up off me. You're in my 6 foot distance range. Get out of my box. I'm smart enough to not shake your hand. All right. And I think I should have the right to decide if I want to go to Publix or Walmart. Well, I try to stay out of Walmart, Publix or Eckerd's or Walgreens or wherever I want to go to do shopping or to buy gas without the government telling me I can't go. I'm smart enough to look out for myself. Are you not? So do you understand what I'm saying? This dive down this slippery slope of making people stay at home, which a number of mayors were doing, and it just going a little bit too far. Locking up a pastor down in Florida for having church. Now, when you start allowing the government to tell you that you can't go and worship, go and worship. If that is your desire, free will, your choice. If you want to go into that room with others and they want to be in that room with you. Now, somebody said, well, but they were infecting a whole bunch of other people and they were going to go and infect other folk. Man, everybody is under an order to stay at home. They went to church. I'm pretty sure they are smart enough to know to just go to church, cover yourself while you're there at church, leave church, go back home. Don't go out intentionally trying to infect others. But if people are keeping distance, if they are socially distancing themselves from others, I don't think it's all that. And another true story that happened the other day, because see, I told my parents, because see, I know that the virus will kill the elderly and those with pre-existing conditions. And my father has high blood pressure. He has diabetes. He's type 1. And on top of that, my dad still takes a puff every now and again. So I know it could be devastating to him. So I told him and my stepmother, please stay at home. You need something, I'll drop it off. I'll leave it outside for you. Don't go out. And I found out Wednesday that he had a guy to come over and cut the grass. I said, Dad, I thought I asked you not to have people to come over. And my dad told me, 87 years old, told me, he said, son, I'm not going to live in fear. I either trust God or I don't. And if I got to live in fear, I may as well go on and die right now. I'm just not going to do it. So I shut the hell up. You understand what I'm saying? Because I learned from my dad, because I'm doing me. All right. I'm out right now. but I know how to keep my distance. I know how to cleanse my hands. I know how to go home and take my clothes off and put them in the dryer and wash them. But again, something still don't add up with this damn virus. So you got all of these mayors coming up with curfews and all this nonsense. Well, Brian Kemp, who I would not vote for in the next election because of his putting Loeffler up there, he did do something I agree with. He superseded all of those, language alert, dumbass restrictions that a lot of these mayors have put in place. What he put in place supersedes what they are doing, and it requires that people use common sense. It's as simple as that. Still, no gathering. They want you to stay at home. If you ain't got to be out there, you ain't got to be out there, but you ain't got to worry about the cops pulling you over and locking you up because you decide you want to go to the grocery store at 11 o'clock at night. Hell, I like Rocky Road ice cream. I'm just kidding on that. I prefer Oreo Crunch. But again, I know people. Okay, now, and I'm taking out folk that work for the government, people that's got those good jobs where they can work remotely and not have to be in office. You still getting your paycheck. But folk that got laid off, and I talked to a friend this morning that got laid off. They gave them 30, 60, or 90 days based on their situation with the company of no pay. They can still fly, but no pay. So they're going on unemployment. You take somebody that's self-employed, all right, and monthly expenses of $2,500, you know, rent, gas, lights. Well, they ain't got to drive nowhere, but so the gas bill will go down. But hey, even gas prices have gone down. It used to take me $52 to fill my truck up. Heck, I filled it up for $31 earlier this week. But I digress. But my point is, unemployment, $300 a week, $1,200. Their expenses are $2,500. They might get $1,200 from the stimulus back, $2,400. And if this goes on for 2 months, they go in the hole. And even if they put back or put off your auto insurance and your credit card bills and your rent, you know what? That money still got to be made up. You're in the hole. So don't think that it's just the stock exchange that took a hit. This was intentional. I told you long time ago in a video, if you want to control the people, you make them dependent upon government. Secondly, I have said long time ago, it is not until people suffer more that they begin to realize what's going on. Who is the one man who has been pushing to open the country back up? Donald Trump. See, that's the man that everybody hates. Remember that? Not everybody, but you know who I'm talking about. The never Trumper rhinos and most liberal Democrats and about 90% of Negroes. That's the man that they hate. That's the man that's responsible for dropping some of our money at 0% interest from the Fed for the first time in history. Actually, it's about 0.025, but virtually 0% interest. Donald Trump just really stuck it to the Federal Reserve. Anyway, I'm getting off the point and beaten path, but folk upset about the stimulus. When government is responsible for creating the problem, government has a responsibility to do something to ease it. Because you know what? If this went on for too long, those folk wouldn't be reelected. But again, I digress. Roy Moore. Y'all remember Roy Moore? The racist, alleged racist that they tried to destroy for being a pedophile using a yearbook with his signature that was forged. And you all remember that. Well, he is defending a man based off of my sentiment. Well, not my sentiment. We share the same sentiment. Who was arrested in New Orleans for having church, saying that it's a sad day, it's a slippery slope when government starts locking preachers up for having church. Now, if I end with that to bring you back to what I said before, some things are constant, some things we don't have the answer to, but we learn the answers over time. And then there is historical analysis where you can basically predict what's going to happen based on things that you have observed in the past. when we start, historical analysis will allow us to make a predictive outcome of where we will go if we continue on this wise, these draconian measures to forcing people to stay at home and off the streets. Can you say Hitler? When you start letting the government take one step, trust me, they're going to take 10 because you willingly sat your asses down and took it. That's what this is about. I see it because I study history. I see what other tyrants have done. They disarm people. They tell you where you can go. Travel papers. I wish someone would try to give me travel papers saying that I have the right to go to the doggone grocery store. No. You are not going to do it. Lock me up. I'll be the test case. Because it is not right. You are either free or you aren't. Quoting my father, I either believe God or I don't. So you make up your mind where you stand. You decide for yourself if you need government to tell you you're too damn stupid to look out for yourself if you go out beyond the boundary of your front door, or if they need to tell you, stay your ass home because you aren't smart enough to make that call. Decide for yourselves, because that's what they are doing. And so, bravo, Governor Kemp, for walking back those crazy draconian measures that some of these mayors endeavored to engage in here in the state of Georgia alone. Makes no sense whatsoever. And I will not sit down for that. You know what? As your U.S. Senator, I would be speaking out against it. I would not be sitting back quiet. I would be telling people, especially here in Georgia, hold up. Y'all need to check your mayor. These are public servants. You are the leaders. And you know how you lead? You lead with your vote by who you pick. And you know what? Just reminded me. Toss them damn paper ballots in the garbage can and go show up and vote in person. Let's see if they deny you your right to go and vote. And again, be a test case. T-Mot out. Drive time till next time. I hope I got through to a few people. Happy Sunday afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Be smart. Use a little common sense. If you don't own a gun, go and sell the wheels on your car so you can go and buy one. See, somebody tried to break in my house on Monday, and I'm going to tell you something. When folk ain't got no money, they going to come try and get what you got. And now that we're in these hard times where folk are losing their jobs and ain't got no money, what you think the dope man going to do when people can't come and patronize them? What you think they going to do next? They'll be standing outside the gas station waiting on you to go pump gas. They'll be standing at the ATM waiting on you to go to the ATM. They'll be doing all manner of wickedness to try and get at you, to take from you what you have. And I got a sign in my front yard that says, ain't nothing inside worth dying for, but this fool decided to come on my front porch, broad daylight, early in the morning, 8:30, while no one was there, thinking that he would get in, and he finally looked up and saw the cameras, and he decided to get the hell on. But he pulled in the driveway first, then went and parked on the side street. Well, I know that's another story, and ain't none of y'all a young fool, so I sent it to everybody that I knew in the neighborhood saying, help him, because he don't need to come back over here again, especially if I'm at home, because see, I might park my car on the back street. Anyway, T-Mot out, drive time till next time.